The overall top takeaway, as I stated at the top of the show, was the new sound system in the stadium. But as far as what we saw on the field, now before I get to my top takeaways, I always like to just say, so what was the first thing I wrote in my book, in my notebook, for the first day of practice? Now, I did get there. I missed the first 4 periods. I had some other things going on this morning. I missed the first 4 periods. But I got there right as they were doing special teams. So the first thing I wrote in my notebook for 2026 is the battle of the 2 punters. Carter Schwartz is one of the punters. Carter Schwartz is a junior transfer from Louisville. He's from Louisville, Kentucky, 6'3", 232 pounds. Saw him punt the ball. And the other punter is Chase Ridley. He is a 6'3" freshman from Perth, Australia. He went to a school called Pro Kick. That sounds like a place you would go to become a punter. It sounds like a professional punting high school that they might have in Perth, Australia. We'll have to ask him about that.
Tiny Australia pipeline to punting, right?
Mm-hmm. There is, yeah. Australian rules. We have a lot of these little guys that the sidewinder punt has become kind of the thing in college football the last few years. So that was the first thing I wrote in my book for 2026 was Schwartz versus Ridley. We'll see. I think we talked to the special teams coach next week, so we'll kind of ask him how that particular battle is going. All right. So last year, I believe there were 18 fall camp practices. And I have famously said on this show, there was not one practice that I went to last year where I could say the offense won the day. Not a single one. The defense dominated from the first practice. There were practices where they completely dominated the offense, and at times it was ugly for Noah Fifita and company. The 5 interception night kind of comes to mind, and that was like midway through camp. The defense was already kicking their ass, and then they had the 5 interception night. Did the offense have? It was a night practice last year. So yeah, there was 18 practices. I don't know that there was one I could say the offense won. I'm here to tell you, practice number 1 of 2026, I believe the offense won today. And it's a testament, I think, to the continuity that we've seen with this offensive coordinator in Seth Dagey and the quarterbacks that we have returning. And for the most part, except for Oscar Rios coming in as a freshman, everybody's back. Noah Fifita is back. Sawyer Anderson is back. Who's the other young gentleman, number 6? Luke Hoago is back. Mason Bray is back. So you've got pretty much 4 of your top quarterbacks all back this year, and they looked like it today. They threw the ball with a whole lot of confidence. Now, don't get me wrong. There were some interceptions. Noah threw an interception. Hoago threw an interception. I don't remember seeing, and this is one of the things I look for. I don't remember seeing a whole bunch of balls that were on the ground in terms of drops or incompletions. There were a few in terms of Noah particularly, but you could tell the confidence. And I talked about this the one practice I saw in the spring. You could tell there was a different confidence with Noah Fifita in this offense, and I thought that was reticent on day number 1. The other top takeaway, and this was something I talked about explicitly last year, how I thought I didn't like the fact that Noah Fifita was getting pretty much 98% of the first team reps last year. I didn't think that was the right. I've never thought that that's the right way to go about a football camp. I kind of get it, though. I kind of understand maybe why they did that last year was because, again, new system, new scheme, new offensive coordinator. You wanted to get him as many of the reps and get him as comfortable as possible going into the season. I still think that was too much for the starting quarterback last year. This year, already on the first day of practice, we saw the second team quarterback who right now I'm going to say is Sawyer Anderson, number 7, get reps with the first group. It was more, and you may have heard the question I asked the head coach in the press conference. It was clearly more of an even split than we ever saw last year with this offense. And to me, that shows the growth piece right there, that on day one of year 3, you're giving your backup guy, your main backup guy, Sawyer Anderson, was in there taking multiple sets with the first team line, the first team receivers, and the first team running backs. I liked seeing that today.
Yeah, I mean, to me, nothing you just said is illogical. Everything you just said makes perfect sense. 18 out of 18 practices last year won by the defense. You've got 3 guys in the secondary in the NFL. Coach Gonzalez, pin your earbacks and go get those guys. Meanwhile, Seth Dagey has a timing-based offense that he's just put in, and they haven't had any time together because last year was Seth's first year. So the timing, DragonBall, between Noah and those receivers is so important, especially early. So it makes perfect sense to me last year that the defense dominated because the timing, they're sort of trying to figure out the timing of that offense. And secondarily, having a second-string quarterback see time in the first day, it's because that time, Noah and Coach Dagey have spent a lot of time together in the last 16 months. Much more on the same page as far as what Coach Dagey expects, and it's not a new language for Noah to learn. I think they're much more comfortable, and the receivers as well in that room. It's a very good wide receiver room. So I think there's so much more, nuance to putting in an offense like that and picking up the timing of it all relative to what the defense was doing last season. And now we're just seeing Noah on the same page with Coach Dagey, which affords the opportunity to get a backup in there to get some reps.
And not just backup for quarterback, but I imagine also, DK, you were there. Was there any changes to the offensive line collection that they had out there when they brought out the second quarterback? Was it the second string offensive line?
No,
as well?
that's what I mean. The only change was the quarterback. For the most part, it was the same. It was the offensive line. Those guys worked together. The ones stayed together that entire 5 set. The entire 5 set that was made up the second team for the most part stayed together. Your ones offense in terms of Cole Rusk was out there, at tight end. You had Trey and Chris Hunter were your receivers. That group for the most part stayed together. The difference was at times they were working with Noah and at times they were working with Sawyer Anderson.
Well, if that's the case, then yeah, absolutely. It means that Seth Dagey's timing-based offense is starting to really show its weight from the skill position as well as the offensive line and everybody else being on that same page, making sure that everyone knows when you hit 3 yards, that's when you make your cut. When you hit 6 yards, that's when you hit your cut. And seeing that the quarterback is still hitting those spots, it's good to know that the skill positions are getting their timing down right, knowing how they have to beat the defense, make sure they don't get thrown off their timing. If that ends up being the case, then look out for the Arizona offense, because if they can go ahead and do that in game, then a lot of the defense of the Big 12 are going to have some problems trying to stop this if the defense is not able to get them off that timing.
So we'll keep track every day that we're out there. Offense wins. Day 1 of fall camp. First win for the offense since 2024.